Hey everyone, and welcome to what I like to think is the heavily tattooed edition of Rapid Fire. I know I've got plenty, and I know my guest today has also got plenty as well. I've got Benjamin Craddock with me here today. How you doing?
Not too bad. Yourself?
I'm very well, thank you. As we like to do on this show, we like to start things off nice and quick. So we will jump straight into the rapid fire questions, 15 questions. You've got to answer them as quickly as you can. Don't worry too much about fleshing out the answers. We're going to go back and cover all that later on.
Awesome.
So I'm going to use my high-tech device to keep track of how long you're taking to answer the questions. So I'll just get my stopwatch ready. I'm pressing all the wrong buttons. There we go. So if you're ready, we'll start.
Ready.
Cool. Right. Your time starts now. How many years have you been in the hobby?
3 years this time round.
What game systems do you follow?
AOS and 40k.
What are your current armies?
Space Wolves and Squigs.
What was your first ever miniature?
My first ever miniature, I think, was Azrael back in the day.
What was your first full army?
Would be my Squigs currently.
What model or unit have you enjoyed painting the most?
My Albino Mangler.
And what unit or model have you enjoyed painting the least?
Anything I have to batch paint.
What was the last model you completed?
That would be Zarbag.
How much hobby time do you get per week?
About 8 to 10 hours.
What is the current model you're working on?
I've got the new Space Marine Chaplain that came out last year, Terminator.
What's your single favorite thing about the hobby?
It would be the people.
The least favorite thing about the hobby?
Would be politics.
Who or what got you into the hobby?
I just thought it was cool when I was a kid, when I first got into it, really.
What keeps you in the hobby?
The people and the banter.
And what is your one hobby target for the remainder of this year?
To get a Space Wolves army completed.
That's it. That's the 15 questions. All done. How do you
Nice.
think you did?
I think I did pretty well.
I would say so. So the quickest we've had is Craig in episode 6. Did it in 1 minute and 11 seconds.
Nice.
You did it in 1 minute 23, which I think puts you in second place.
Not bad. I'll take that.
So that's not bad at all. That's not bad at all.
Yeah.
So expand then on getting into the hobby, because it's not an easy thing to get into when you've not got other people necessarily to play with. So most people say, oh, my friend did it, or something.
Yeah.
You just saw the miniatures and thought they were cool.
Well, when I first got into it, when I was a kid, it was like a couple of us got into it, and then I sort of grew out of it, as you do when you're like early teens. You sort of go in, branching off into other things. But this time round, I was heavily doing art. I was doing quite a lot of drawing, anime and stuff, and I found the community really quite toxic. Like, you'd ask people for tips and help and stuff, and they're sort of like, no, I'm not telling you how I do this, and they don't generally talk to each other a lot. I was like, do you know what? I enjoyed it when I was younger. I really like the artwork that's in it and stuff, and the story behind it all. So I just started picking up figures, which happened to be Space Wolves, because I love Vikings and tattoos and stuff like that. And I was like, these look amazing. Let's give these a go. So I just got loads of Space Wolves, loads of paints, and started painting them.
That's really cool. So on the subject of, you like Vikings, you like tattoos, have you got any Warhammer related tattoos?
Not yet. I am planning a full torso cover up, actually, and I'm going to go for the Aquila across my chest in big bold black, and then hopefully some scenery underneath it.
That's pretty cool. I myself have got just one. It just says "For the All-Father" in runes.
Nice
down here.
Very nice.
I've been done lots and lots of Space Wolves in the past. I can certainly see why you kind of went for them. So in terms of Space Wolves then, who's your favorite character?
Oh, I think it would have to be Lucas, because I feel like I resonate with him quite a lot. Like, Lucas the Trickster is just amazing. Like, he is the trickster. He loves playing pranks on people, but when it comes down to it, he's so loyal and just so honorable as well. Like, deep down under all the laughing and joking, he is like a true Space Wolf.
So have you read much of the books then?
I am a
And,
massive fan of the lore, like a huge fan of lore. I'm going to eventually for Golden Demon. I'm hopefully going to do a Lucas and Jukai diorama from Lucas the Trickster book.
that's pretty cool. Because is it? I'm trying to remember now. Is it the Lucas Trickster book, or is it the Ashes of Prospero, where he basically goes off and does his own thing and basically saves the day, and then when he gets back to the ship, his Wolf Lord's like, "Where have you been?" And he just looks at him and goes, "Sneaking," and like
that could he sort of does that in both, I believe. I haven't read Ashes of Prospero, but the Lucas the Trickster, he's sort of exiled from the Ite. They like, get out, like you can't stay here anymore, and he goes off with his blood claws and he sort of hunts all the Dark Eldar that have landed on Fenris to sort of go hunting. And that's where he loses his heart, actually, is in that book, and you find out why he's got the stasis bomb in there instead.
Then the one I'm thinking of is definitely I couldn't remember which way around it was. Then the one I'm thinking of is definitely Ashes of Prospero, where basically they kind of land in,
Prospero,
and basically he goes off on his own and just does his own thing, but it involves almost going face to face with Magnus the Red, and he just
doesn't Najal go with him as well?
Yes, because it's Najal he's got a psyker in his Tzeentch psyker in his head, isn't he, telling him what to do,
telling him to go,
and in order to kind of split them again, he has to go and think, because what is it, it's Arjak Rockfist that's basically told by Logan Grimnar, I think it is, if he gets out of line, put him down.
Wow.
Which is, and that's where I think the Space Wolves lore is just so leagues above some of the other
insane stuff. Like, have you read Wolfsbane?
Don't think so.
That is where Russ sort of goes like, I don't want to be used as a weapon anymore. Horus used me against Magnus and I didn't want to. Like, all these people that are like, Magnus did nothing wrong, like, this is a massive politic thing. But Russ is actually genuinely sorry, and he was like, he pleaded multiple times going, Magnus, you have to stop this, you have to let me in and let me take you back to Terra, like, before, like, I have to kill you all, like, please listen to me. But everyone's like, no, Russ is an asshole. And he's like, he actually pleaded with his brother.
Yeah, and I think that's obviously that's his loyalty there, isn't it? I think that's where the thing. So is Wolfsbane, is that a Horus Heresy book?
That is
I've read precisely zero. I've read zero Horus Heresy books.
It's amazing. It's got Belisarius Cawl in it, and it's sort of like his uprising into the ranks and stuff, and about him, and it's about the Emperor's Spear that Russ has, and it's about that because he actually dealt a fatal wound to Horus, which was the wound that allowed the Emperor to basically obliterate him, because he had this wound in his side. But it was Horus who was like, oh, brother, stop. And then Russ was like, I'm sorry, like, let me take you back. And he was like, no, we're done. And he sort of shattered Russ's heart and shoulder and stuff. It's a brilliant book, such a good story. And Bjorn comes into his own, and so many amazing characters in it.
So have you got any plans to build a Horus Heresy army and play the Horus Heresy stuff?
I'm actually going full Primaris Space Wolves. I'm going to be converting a Lucas into Primaris and trying to do a Bjorn into a Redemptor and stuff like that. Okay. So I'm hopefully going to upgrade.
I've seen people do that, so that's pretty cool.
I think Lucas needs an upgrade. I think if anyone was going to become a Primaris, it would be Lucas, because he's got all the gadgets.
Yeah, I suppose it's a tricky one, obviously, because he's an eternal blood claw. That's who he is. So, but I almost just feel that, it's not beyond the realms that Bloodclaw Primaris are eventually going to exist, because that's going to have to start as that in that way. So I don't know how they'll do it, and I'm sure one day they'll find a way. But
I'm thinking Haldor Icepelt might be a good conversion for Lucas because of the dynamic pose he has.
Yeah, and like I say, he's got a cloak, and he's got like the plasma and the claw and stuff, so I'm fairly sure you can find all the bits for that should be easy enough. And then
easy,
you just got to do something around here for his
stasis bomb.
Which that's just one of the coolest thing ever, isn't it? Like when somebody kills me, they will also die with me, and we'll just be stuck in this forever pose of whatever it is. That's pretty cool. So obviously you've got the 40k side, you've got the Space Wolves army that you're building, you're planning on having finished. Age of Sigmar, not a player,
Yes.
not a player, but
I've only recently started playing with my partner. She got me into AOS,
yeah,
and the mechanics are so much easier.
yeah. I've listened to a few podcasts and stuff where they're talking about Age of Sigmar, and you know, the stories and stuff are pretty cool, and
Yeah.
the game system, you know, doesn't have stupid amounts of mechanics and things like that. So it is a very simple game. I don't know if I can ever see myself playing it, but so what army is it you said you had for them?
I'm doing Loon Shrine, so I'm doing all my squigs for them.
Okay,
So
that's
grots and
pretty cool.
squigs.
There's a theme emerging here. Like your favorite Space Wolves character is mischievous, and
Yes.
your Age of Sigmar army is squigs, who are also somewhat mischievous.
Indeed they are. Yes, all the grots, and I've got what are they called? They're the fanatics, and they actually hide in another unit of grots, and then they just jump out and just go everywhere, basically.
Is that a reflection on you then? Would you say that you're a rather mischievous person?
I would say I am. I do like to laugh around a lot. Life's too short to take seriously all the time. You've got to have some laughs in there.
100%. So you said that it was 3 years in the hobby this time. How big was the gap?
It was probably so 3 years. So it's got to be like 20 odd years, I would say. I was first about when Tyrannid sort of really come on the scene and stuff like that. In actual fact, one of the guys, or one of the kids that I was with, he actually designed the Hierodule. It come from the store that I went to. He brought it in and they're like, this is amazing. We need to make rules for it. And now it's an actual official model. So yeah, that's how long ago I was in Warhammer. Back then I was doing like speed painting competitions and yeah, nut stuff.
So what was it that brought you back then?
I think it was I just liked the artwork, and like the community just seemed really good to be around. Like everyone's always supporting each other, everyone's always commenting, going, this looks amazing, really supportive. And it's like I needed that in my hobby or my art. Like I was sort of missing that when I was doing my drawings. Just it was like, how is this going on? Like there's all these people like painting Warhammer models and stuff, and everyone's so friendly, and then in art, like no one's friendly at all. No one offers you help or constructive criticism. It's just quite cold-hearted.
That's obviously not ideal. So speaking of the painting, you're pretty good at it, I would say. I think we've all,
thank you.
You know, your stuff's appeared on the hobby roundup, I think once or twice.
3 times now.
3 times now. There you go. So you're good enough to appear on that, and you do commission work. So
I'm trying to. I haven't actually landed any yet, but okay. I have put my name out there to say that I'm available for commission work.
Because that was what I was going to ask. I was going to ask if you've managed to do any commissions yet, or
no, not yet. It's quite hard to get into, I would say, but I just putting my name out there. Just if anyone says, "Oh, I really like your work, can we come up with a price together?" I'm like, yeah, sure. I mean, all this lockdown and stuff, having time, I've painted a whole squig army pretty much. I've been able to knock models out of the park quite quickly, which I never knew I could really do, because every model I tend to do is its own individual model. I don't like to do batch painting. I like to paint. Well, when I first started painting, it was competition painting from the off for me. It was like, right, I've got a model. I entered it into a competition, won. So I just sort of did that. I was like, right, next competition, I need to paint this model and that model. So it's always been every model gets every bit of my attention.
So it definitely makes sense that you would pick the armies that you have, because Space Wolves have got so much individuality about them in terms of the kits and the amount of characters and stuff like that. You know, squigs have got their own character, like their own little personalities. In terms
like each model is its own model completely with the squigs. It's insane how much character they have.
And I think that would be really cool. So in terms of commission, then what would be like the coolest project that could drop into your inbox? What would you think would be like the dream project?
The dream project, I think it would honestly be getting a load of models and being like, this is kind of the idea I have, but run with it. Just do what you want, like come up with your own chapter or something. Because I came up with my own color scheme for Custodes quite a while ago, which was sort of a black going on to the Cabalite and Cyberite highlights on it, so it was almost Drew Kai-ish, but not so much, with like the gold and the red gems and stuff, and just something a bit different. I think would be nice. Someone to just go, do what you want. This is sort of what I want, but run with it.
Yeah, I suppose that would be. It's not beyond the realms of possibilities that somebody goes, right, I want Space Marines, but I don't mind what color they are. What do you think's best? And then you come up with something kind of.
Come up with your own chapter together would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, come up with something along those lines. So how many games have you had since coming back?
Oh, I've had, I think, 5 or 6, and I've been tabled every single time by my partner because she is ruthless.
Is that in 40k or is that Age of Sigmar?
Both.
Oh, okay.
Both. Yeah, 40k, I went Space Wolves against Custodes. She absolutely obliterated me.
Yep.
Although I did find out Longfangs with bleeding hell, what's the wolf priest called? Ulrich.
Yeah.
Oh, quite good with las cannons and rocket launchers against a Custodes Redemptor. And what was the other army she ran? I think it was Eldar, and they just wrecked me, massively wrecked me.
And she's not even taking it easy on you just to kind of get you the first win. And
she was a little bit. She's like, I'm kind of taking it easy, but I was like, do you know what? To be honest, like the time that I actually beat you will be even better because then I know I've become better than you. I don't want you to take it easy on me because I'm not going to get any better. Because then when I actually go to a tournament, I'll just be like, oh, I've just been like absolutely destroyed. When I'm playing against someone who's competitive, who is really competitive, I want them to make me better. And I feel she does that in quite a lot of aspects with the hobby. She generally challenges me at everything. So it's like, I need to be better at this. I need to be better at that, which is good.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really good to have someone who's got that shared interest. I think that can massively help, like you say, push you and make you better. And I'm sure in ways that she's possibly upped her own game, thinking, right, I've got to,
definitely.
I'm gonna help him up, so I've got to be up here. And here's hoping you do get yourself a victory before lockdown's over. Got a couple of months.
I hope so.
Got a couple of months left of lockdown, so you might be able to. So what have been some of your, if there have been any at this point, some of your like favorite in-game moments? Has there been anything that's happened in the game that's made you think, yes, that's awesome?
Yeah, well, she has Lumineth.
Yeah.
So she got her Dawn Riders out, and I chucked my squig straight in there, my Mangler squig, and they didn't even have a turn. I just absolutely obliterated them in one go, and I was just like, that's sick. I love Mangler squigs. It like 18 hits or 18 attacks it had, and I just shredded the whole unit, and I was like, that's awesome.
Because when something happens like that, then in your mind you're like, I'm going to take that every time.
Well, I'm hoping to have 3 in my army, hopefully. I'm currently painting another one, but I'm going to look at getting a third because they can move quick across the table. Got 18 attacks each, so why not?
Yeah, exactly. So all of your games then have come against your partner. Is that because there's a lack of opportunity where you live, or?
Well, I've only recently started getting into the gaming side of it. It's always sort of been painting for me. It's never really been building an army for competitive play. So it's sort of having a partner who knows how to game and has about 20 armies as well. So I can vary who my opponents are because she has so many opponents for me to play against. And it's like, right, let's try this out. Let's try that out. And we work on lists together and see what my best options are. So it's sort of more like a practice for me before I go out to actually compete with people. And because where I live, it's about half an hour for me to get to a store where I can actually game. So
hopefully that you're in Norfolk and you're only one county above me, seeing as I'm Suffolk, when lockdown's over, I'll lay down the gauntlet. Let's
definitely let's do it.
Let's go, because somebody else who is obviously a fan of yours and part of the Loaded Bottle family, Carl. He's 20 minutes from me, so you're guaranteed.
I actually talk to him quite regularly. He's a lovely guy.
Yeah, hell of a guy. He's the reason why I probably still am into the hobby to the point where I am now, because
brilliant.
Just because I got a bunch of models about three years ago, and I started painting again, and I didn't really have anybody to play against, and just got drunk on holiday once and was just back and forth on Instagram, found out we lived literally 20 minutes from each other, and now we've played a lot of games, and I've only ever beaten him once. But he's very good. But like I say, so there's we're not too far away for when the time comes. So definitely come down and get in, because we do like some games days and have a bunch of people around when we're allowed to, obviously. Be good to get you down and try you against all sorts. We've got orcs,
definitely
Eldar, Necron. We've literally got it all.
Nice. Better start pounding those space wolves out then.
Absolutely. So speaking of that, obviously myself and Carl have both kind of put ourselves forward to be part of this hobby Zoom meetup you're trying to arrange. Yes. What's the plan with that? Is that just something came to your head?
Well, my partner does Twitches once a week, and a lot of people get involved. It's brilliant, like the community, everyone's talking and stuff. And I find she's like looking up and having to read, and it's quite hard for her to hobby and read and stuff. And it's like, do you know what? Like, there's so many good people like that I know that are in this, and we're all talking. We've got good banter going, and we're like asking questions. It's like flowing between us as well as my partner on there. It's like, well, do you know, wouldn't it be good if we could actually all talk? So we're not having a reader screen. We're actually all kind of there but not there, so we can see each other and talk and have a laugh and have that banter, and everyone just get involved. Like community, that's what this hobby is really all about. And it's like, why not do this like once a week or once a fortnight or something? Like everyone get together and just chill out and hang and hobby. Even we could even sort a game out like between us all.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I've learned doing this, like filming, what is this episode 9. So I've kind of learned that it's ridiculously easy to talk to people in the hobby. There's been
definitely
no point from the moment that I joined Zoom or the other person joined Zoom to the end. There's no point where it's like awkward or silent. There's always something. So if you can get even 5-10 guys in a room, it's going to be a good time. There's always going to be someone
for sure
who's putting something. So I'm one of those where I could never put myself forward for a Twitch stream, because my job, I can't guarantee I'm available same time every week. But to be able to sit, paint and do stuff, it'd be a cracking idea. It'd be a good thing to get people involved in, and you can have up to 100 people in a Zoom room. I think that'd be a bit crowded.
Brilliant.
That'd be a bit crowded, but
a little bit. But can you imagine that? That would be hilarious.
But you might get the odd kind of shy person who just wants to listen to the people stories and things. So that'd be really cool if if you can get that going and make it a regular event. And I'll certainly attend as regularly as I can, because I love sitting here and hobbying, and that's something we do as between a few of us as mates. So me and Carl, again, we're no strangers to getting involved in those sorts of things.
No, that would be brilliant.
So on that, then, you said about the Space Wolves army, completing that. What other hobby plans have you got over the next 12 months or so? What have you got planned out in your head?
Well, I'm hoping to do Armies on Parade for the first time. So I'm probably going to do that with my squigs. So I'm going to make a nice cave and loon shrine and do all that up nice. I'm probably going to start working on some Golden Demon and Iron Skull competition pieces at some point, I'm hoping. Not quite sure yet. Maybe some dioramas. I might do the Lucas and Drukai diorama. Might enter my Mangler squig into the obviously monster category, but I'm trying to get hold of a Mega Gargant, and I'm going to hopefully convert him into a troll, because they're too humanoid looking. I want him to look more trolly for my squigs, so I'm hopefully going to get hold of one of them. And my partner wants to do a Techless conversion as well, so we're going to be working on that this year at some point, and that's going to be a mashup of about 3 or 4 different models. That's going to be a big one.
That's pretty cool. That all sounds really cool. Armies on Parade is something that I've never done, but would love to do. I don't know why I haven't done it. I guess it's just one of those things.
Time.
Like most things, it is generally time. But to convert the Mega Gargant is just going to be, that'll be an awesome project. You plan to use like Milliput or like green stuff to like sculpt? Or
I will probably green stuff sculpt, but I'll mainly be taking bits. I'll probably get a Troggoth as well and use mainly bits from that and like merge that in, and hopefully go with that, because I've got the Troggoths or Rockgut Troggoths, you get so many spare bits. Like the poses are endless. So I've got like spare bits coming out of my ears with just Rockgut Troggoths off of one set of them. So I've got loads of bits that I can mash on and just throw on there.
That's awesome. So going back to books and lore,
Yes.
What are some of your favorite stories then? What are some of your favorite books?
God. That'd be Flight of the Abyss is a really good one. I love Wolfsbane. I love Mechanicum. That was amazing. That was something completely different that I wouldn't normally pick up. It was just blew my mind. I actually quite like a lot of the stuff of the Dark Angel stuff is quite good to listen to. And what is the other one? The Outcast Dead. It's a brilliant book because you've got so many different Space Marine factions, and they're sort of like fugitives, and they run out of a prison in Terra that are guarded by Custody, and they sort of escape, and they're trying to get this telepath because he's got a message from the Emperor, and they're trying to get it to Horus because they're like, he needs to know this. Like, this is like one bit of like news that will change the fate of how the tides are turned and stuff. And you've got a father, which is 1,000 Suns, who's the leader. You've got 3 world eaters. You've got an Emperor's son. You've got a Death Guard. There's loads of them in there. There's like a right bag of like characters in that group, and they go through like the slums of Terra. And there's an old Thunder Warrior who's after them because he's after their gene seed and stuff. Because he's like, look, I was like the last of my kind, but I'm still alive. And he just out monsters them. He's huge, and they've got assassins after them. It's brilliant. It's absolutely phenomenal book.
That sounds like one I'll definitely have to look into picking up, because that you've piqued my interest with that one. That one sounds.
Assassinorum's quite good as well, with all the different assassin factions trying to assassinate Horus. That's a really good one as well.
And like I said, I've not read loads of the books. I've probably read 7 or 8, and most of those have been for like the factions that I collect. I've never really gone outside of that, just again based purely on time. But recently I've really got back into my reading, so Warhammer books are bound to get on that, so so I'll do that. So in terms of,
I mean, I started on the Space Wolves, and then I was like, do you know what, I'm gonna listen from book 1. I think I'm on to like book 24 of Horus Heresy. I've just listened to all of them through, and they are really worth it. They tell such a brilliant story of how it all came about, and the treachery, and who was the first heretic and stuff like that. It's really, really good.
Like I said, well, the Horus Heresy is something that I don't know why it's just sort of passed me by, but I'm sure one day I'll find the time. Audiobooks is a good way because it's something you can listen to on the way to and from work, or you can listen whilst you sit here and paint, whatever the situation is. I have listened to a few, and maybe you've convinced me enough, especially with the guys running away from the Thunder Warrior. That one,
the Outcast Dead. Yeah, it's amazing.
I'm just going to take a second to note that down, because that will definitely go on my list. So the last question I always ask people, because you know the hobby is the hobby, but what are your hobbies away from the hobby? What else
hobbies
what else kind of?
Well, I've recently started getting back into my drawing. Hopefully I'm going to take that to a digital front and start doing it on iPad and stuff, and start a bit of like logo designing and stuff like that. I'm hopefully going to be doing with a friend of mine. I'm going to be doing like a lore hammer sort of thing. So we'll be talking about the Horus Heresy books and like the first heretic and stuff like that, and going through stuff that people don't actually know, because a lot of people think that not Lorgar, Erebus is the one who tainted everyone, but actually it was Torgadon, because he couldn't make the change.
I'm like everyone. I blame Erebus.
No, it was him. He was the one who was sort of like, no, we're going to do this. We're going to go to the old ways that our planet used to worship and all of this, that the old gods and stuff. And he was the one that sort of planted the seed, and him and Erebus teamed up together. But he was the one, he couldn't make the change over to a Space Marine. So he sort of was like, had loads of implants and stuff, but he was like, oh no, he sort of fathered Lorgar. So he was the one who really planted the seed in deep and sort of, went from there. I think that was his name. I think that was I may be wrong on that one, on the name, but it was not Erebus, it was the other guy who sort of did all the
So is
sneaky
that-
stuff behind her back.
So is that going to come in the form of like a podcast? Or how is that going to?
Possibly, or it might be a Zoom or a live stream on Instagram where we do a live stream together, and then people can just sort of join in and we'll talk about stuff and people can ask questions and be like, yeah, cool, this happens, that happens, and this character does this and this leads on to that, and so on and so forth.
That's really cool. So so that's it from us today. You know, we've
Nice.
covered a lot of ground. We've spoken Space Wars, which is one of my favorite factions of all time. I sold mine now,
Nice.
but you know,
Oh no.
that's because I wanted to try some other things. But you've been brilliant. You're number two on
Thank
number two on the table. My
Nice.
next step is now to get your partner on to try and beat your time.
Yes.
And I'm sure she will be up for that, mainly just to beat you.
Yeah, more than likely. Very competitive.
And so you've got a link tree for your
Yes.
commission. So is the name Flare Jamming?
It is, yes.
So what I'll do is underneath Ben's name, you'll have looked at it, or the whole of this video, there will be his link tree as well as the Instagram account. So if you want commissions or anything of that nature, hook him up, because he's a pretty awesome painter. And if you're following him and not us,
Thank you very much.
clue what you're doing. So once again, this has been the tattooed edition of Rapid Fire, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.